Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharyamadhyamam Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yoginam Vishwanathakyam Asmattataswarupidam Atmalabhat Param Labham Vaktaram Nakadachana Gita-artha-granthakattaram Sri Gurum Pranamamyaham Yom Tapravishyame Vacham Dhritim Buddhim Prachodayat Om Namah Savabhyas Sabapatibhyascha Vo Namaham. Friends, we are in the third session of the Narayaneeyam shlokas. First, I will have to announce to you with an apology a correction to a statement I made in the Narayaneeyam shlokas part 2, where I had talked about the darshan of Meenakshi at the Shankara Matha by the Swamigal, Kanchi Shankaracharya Swamigal. I gave you a date like 1992 or something. That was wrong. The actual date was 18 February 1989, 7 p.m. That was the time. Anyway, this is just a factual correction. Thank you. Now we continue our Narayaneeyam shlokas. We had done 7 shlokas. The selection, I had selected 36 shlokas for elaboration. Of these 36, we have done the first 7. So we are now doing the 8th. Yadyallabhyeta tattattavasamupahritam devadasosmiteham twadgehon marjanadyam bhavatu mamamuhu karma nirmayameva suryagni brahmanatmadishu lasita chaturbahumaradhaye tvam tvatpremadratvarupo mama satatam abhishyandatam bhakti yogagam. It is, as you see, these are all very difficult shlokas because this Bhattaji was himself a great Sanskrit scholar and a grammarian, and he put a lot of very technical, meaningful Sanskrit in his shlokas. And there is a long meter. The other day we had the Sanskrit meters in poetry session where I had talked about various meters. This is a meter with 21 syllables, Shraddhara meter. The right analogy would be your Kshirodhanvat Pradeshe sloka in Vishnu Sahasranama, or Bhuvpadu. Bhuvpado yasyanabhid vyadasura chandrasurjau chanetre. That long sloka, that is a Shraddhara meter. So all this is in that meter. So now we come to this shloka. Shloka number 8. Yadhyallabhyeta tattattavasamupahritam devadasosmiteham. You see, this shloka talks about how we worship the Absolute through the various names and forms. Names and forms. Suryagni brahmanatmadishu lasita chaturbahum aradhaye tvam. Surya, Agni, Brahmana, Atma, these 4. So here the poet describes the 4 arms, 4 hands of the Lord as representing Surya and Agni and a Brahmin and Atma, Atma the self. You see, the earlier Western conception of Indian scriptural literature was very wrongly done, because they were thinking that Indians, Hindus particularly, were worshipping the elements, and then slowly after some time they graduated to worshipping human beings or divines and so on. They were not nature worshippers in the sense of in the Western sense. When you worship the sun, you are not worshipping the visible sun. Remember this. When you do the Sandhya Gayatri as the Savita worship, we are doing the worship of the Brahman within the Savita. The Brahman, the visible sun, is only a visible representation of the invisible, impersonal absolute. Everywhere the impersonal absolute is there. This is what beats the Western conception, which always finds it difficult to understand the concept of immanence. Immanence is a native concept, very much genuine to the Hindu religion and philosophy. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Whether it is animate or inanimate, whether it is living or non-living, everything is Brahman. This concept is a little difficult for a Western trained mind. Therefore, when the first time when Europeans came into contact with Sanskrit literature, they thought that the Rig Veda talked only about worshippers of nature. They were not worshippers of nature, worshippers of the absolute Brahman. Absolute Brahman represents itself, is represented by various elements, certainly. But without the absolute Brahman in it, there is no worship at all. For example, there is what is called the Aghamarshana Sukta. Every Brahmin is supposed to recite the Aghamarshana Sukta at the time of the bath. And you see, it talks about Varuna, it talks about Indra, it talks about Agni. We are not doing that. We are not worshipping only the Varuna, only the Indra, only the Agni. We are worshipping the Brahman in that. It is that is why it ends up by saying Aham Brahmasmi. You see, Ahamasmi Brahma, Ahamasmi, Aham Evagam Manjuho Miswaga. This is part of the Aghamarshana Sukta. Anyway, here, Bhattaji, though the Bhattaji wavers between the impersonal worship and the personal worship, but he leans towards Advaita in most of his slokas, if you see deeply in that. So here, Yadyallabhyeta tattattava samupahritam. Whatever I get, whatever I have, whatever I obtain, tattati tava samupahritam. I have offered it to you. Excuse me. I have offered it to you, samupahritam. Deva, O Lord, dasosmi teham. I am your servant. Tvat gehon marjanadyam bhavatu mama muhu karma nirmayam eva. Your residence, your temple, your house, tvat geha, your temple, marjanadyam. The cleaning of that temple, washing that temple, washing the floors of that temple, making it clean, whitewashing it or whatever. So, Gehon Marjanadyam, let me be always involved in that work of cleaning the floors of your temple. Marjanadyam. Please, Karma Nirmayam eva. Nirmayam, that is, let me do that kind of work without any hesitation, without any reservation. Without any motive. Let me also worship, aradhaye tvam. I worship you in the four hands, your four hands as Surya, Agni, Brahmana and Atma. I told you just now that we worship the Brahman within the Aditya, within the Surya. There are umpteen examples in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, that this is so. You cannot have it by any other meaning. For example, in the Narayana Upanishad, Mahanarayana Upanishad, Adityo Vaiteja Ojo Balam Yasashchakshashrotra Bhatma Mano Manyu Manurmityu Satyo Mitro Vayura Kashaga Prano Lokapala Kakkinkintat Satyam Annamamrto Jivo Vishwakatamaswayam Brahmaitadupa. It goes on like that. That is, Aditya is all this. Adityo Vaiteja Ojo Balam Chakshushrotram. Everything, all the thing it describes. And then Kakkim Kam. It is the invincible, it is the invisible, it is the unpredictable or immeasurable, that is the absolute. You are the absolute. There is tremendous evidence throughout the Vedas and throughout our scriptural literature that when we worship the Aditya, when she worshipped the Varuna, when we worship Indra, we are worshipping the Brahman in them, the Atma. That is why Here he says Surya, Agni, Brahmana, Atma. Agni is great. Agni is the messenger from us to the gods. We offer everything to the Agni. He takes them to the divine wherever it has to go. He takes them to our ancestors wherever it has to go. Agni is the messenger, and that is why we pray to Agni. Agmenaya supatha raje asman vishwani deva vayunani vidwan. That is, hey Agni, you know everything that I have done. See, please take me into the right path. Show me the right path. And it is not just a simple prayer. It is the last sentence of Shukla Yajurveda. Akmenaya supatha raje vishwani deva vayunani vidwan. That thing is the most important statement at the end of Ishopanishad, the last shloka of Shukla Yajurveda. So the Western interpretations about these nature worshipping business should all be simply thrown as rubbish. Surya Brahmanatma Adishu Lasita Chaturbhahumaradhaye Tvam. Here Brahmana means any holy person. Anyone who has understood Brahman, Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. Atma is the self. Lasita means shining. That is, these four, they are shining as your four hands. Tvat premadratva rupo mama satatam abhishyandatam bhakti yoga. Let bhakti yoga, let bhakti, let that intense devotion, let it continue, let it increase, abhishyandatam, in me, continuously increase. And what should it be like? Premadratva rupo. Prema is love. Tvat prema is your love. It can be interpreted in two ways. Your love towards me, my love towards you. Tvat premadratva rupo. By that love, we become moist, tender, soft with that love. And in that tenderness, that tender Rupa is what I see before me here in the Guruvayoor statue. So premadratva rupo mama satatam abhishyandatam bhakti yoga. Let bhakti yoga increase in me. Because throughout the understanding is bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan jasyasmi tattvataha. Only by bhakti we will understand the Lord. And that is why Bhattaji is very clear, very firm, very definite that first we have to have that bhakti, and he prays for that bhakti. Because bhakti does not come by itself. God has to grace you with that bhakti, and you have to ask for that bhakti. Unasked, he is not going to give you that bhakti. Remember, you see, the whole thing will become false. If he is going to give bhakti to everybody without their asking, then there will be no world at all. There will be no good and bad, nothing. The world is filled up with a lot of good and bad because of our past actions. Right? Now you have to somehow understand that we have to go beyond this material interest and ask for the bhakti towards the Lord, and then the Lord graces you with that bhakti. That is the shloka. Therefore let me have that. Let me be always, at least be working as a cleaner of your temple, of your residence. Tvadgehon marjanadyam bhavatu mama muhu karma nirmayam eva. Without any hesitation. Nirmayam eva. That is, let me not have any reservation in doing that. Let me do it with all my heart and soul. That is shloka number 8. Now we go to shloka number 9. Tvadbhavo yavadeshu spuratina vishadam tavadevam hyupasthim. All of these are in Shraddhara meter. And therefore you have to go slow. It's a long meter. Understand it like that. Tvadbhavo yavadeshu spuratina vishadam tavadevam hyupasthim. And also in the Sanskrit meter thing, I did not emphasize on this. There is supposed to be a pause after a certain syllable, 7th syllable, 14th syllable, like that. Pauses also are given in that definition. And when you recite it, you will automatically do it only that way. For example, when I am saying this, Tadbhavo yavadeshu spuratina vishadam tavadevam hyupasthim. The definition itself perhaps will say that you have to pass here, and anyway, that is about the Sanskrit meter. Let me go to shloka. Kurvannaikatnya bodhe jatiti vikasati tvanmayoham chareyam Twadharmasya tavat kimapi na bhagavan prastutasya pranashaha tasmat sarvatmanaiva pradisha mama vibho bhakti margam manogyam. Again he is asking for the bhakti margam. I think you and I, all of us have to ask for it. Therefore these are very good shlokas for us to remember, to recite, to meditate, and to use it as a prayer to the Lord, because we need all that bhakti for ourselves. Because we make the mistake, we every day go to the temple, we ask for something, and we think the next day or the day after it will be satisfied. But we may not have asked. You see, the Lord asked for a complete, total, complete devotion. Who can promise that you and I have that complete devotion? That complete, intense devotion we have to ask. So here, Tvad-bhavo, how long will I do this? See, this sloka also tells you how bhakti matures into jnana ultimately. Tvad-bhavo yavadeshu spurati na vishadam yavati yeshu tvad-bhavaha na spurati. Vishadam spurati. Tvad-bhavaha, the attitude that it is you. Everything is Brahman. But I don't have that. I am only saying it orally, vocally. Am I convinced? Am I emotionally convinced in that? Intellectual conviction is not enough, as I have told you earlier. Intellectual conviction and emotional conviction are two different things. Intellectual, you see, I have studied all the Advaita, all the Bhashyas, all the Shlokas. Yes sir, Advaita is correct, okay. But still, after all, it's not possible. This is only intellectual, scholarly conviction. It will give you only a PhD, nothing more. You see, when you say it isn't that is why I say emotional conviction should be there. You must feel it from the heart. The conviction should be feeling it from the heart. You see, when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, my father, I used to have discussions with my father, and my father used to say, he recommends you to get up early in the morning. He goes to the river for river bath at 4:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, along with a few of his friends, and he also calls me. I go with him. But I'll tell him, Appa, it's very difficult to get up in the morning. It's not there. So the discussion now between father and son goes as follows. Are you convinced that you have to get up in the morning or not, in the early morning or not? Yes, I am convinced. Then if you are convinced you have to get up. No, Appa, it's difficult to get up. That is where the emotional conviction is not there. Intellectual conviction simply will say, I agree that it is right, I agree it should be, but it's not possible. This is only intellectual conviction. So here he asked, Tvad-bhavaha yavadeshu spurati na vishadam. The fact that you are everything, you are in everything, you are everything, this conviction, until that comes to me clearly. Vishadam means clearly, spashtam. Spurati means sparks. Yeshu, or in all these material things, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunicha Ivashvapa, Gita Sloka, 5th chapter. Shunicha Ivashvapa Kecha Pandita Samadarshina, 4th chapter. That is Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, in Brahmana, Gavi, in a cow, Hastini, in an elephant, Shunicha Iva, in a dog, and a dog eater. All of them are the same. The same Lord is there in all of them. This conviction, until it comes to me, that's what he is saying here. Tvad-bhavaha yavat yeshu. Yeshu means in these things. Spurati na vishadam. Tavat, till then. Now the shloka proceeds. Tavat, till then. Evam hyupasthim kurvanne. I will go on doing this form worship. You see, personal worship. Evam hyupastim kurvan. What will happen if I go on doing this worship? Aikatmya bodhe jatiti vikasati. Jatiti vikasati. Sometime, I hope it will be soon. Jatiti means soon. Aikatmya bodhe vikasati. Ekatmya bodhe means knowledge of the unity of all existences. Ekatmya bodhe. Eka atmya bodha. Bodha means knowledge. Atmya bodhe. There is one self. Ekatmya. One self in everything. The same self in everything. You see, one self in everything is easy to say. The same self is in everything. It has to be, you have to have that conviction. Then only you will know that whether you are this or that or that or this, it is all the same. Then only you will know that Shiva and Vishnu worship are both the same. Then only you will know that all religions lead to the same goal. So, ekatmya bodhe jatiti vikasati. Soon it will spark in me. Till then, I will do this upasti. But once that spark comes, tvanmayoham chareham, then I will go about, chareyam, then I will go about in your completely in oneness with you. Tvanmayaha aham chareyam. Tvad-dharmasya asya tavat kimapi na bhagavan prastutasya pranashaha. There will be no destruction, there will be no default in this. Once I have gone this way, tvad-dharmasya asya tavat kimapi na bhagavan prastutasya pranashaha. Once I start this way, then there will be no fall. There will be no fall. Because you will take care of me. Tasmat sarvatmanaiva, by all means, with all one's soul, sarvatmanaiva. Remember this sarvatmanaiva he uses in the Gita, crucial point in the last 18th chapter, sarvatmana. You see, you have to see this in the Bhagavad Gita, tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata. So, this sarvatmana, now by all means, with all one's soul, please give me this bhakti marga. Pradisha mama vibho bhakti margam manognyam. That will be very pleasant to me. You see, that's why the Lord earlier says in the Gita, Solpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little done in this direction, it will protect you in great, protect you very greatly. Parthe parthanaivegana mutra vinashastasya vidyate. 6th chapter. Once you have gone in this direction, nahi kalyana kritkashchiti durgatim tata gacchati. Once you have gone in this direction, you will never fall down. Does not mean that you will not be poor, you will not be this thing. This is not between poverty and richness. It is the spiritual poverty and the spiritual richness. Once you have gone this way, your spiritual richness will never fall down. I will take you up. So, Bhakti Margam Pradisha Mama Vibho. That is Shloka number 9. We go to Shloka number 10. One more Shloka of the same type. Tullokadanyaloka kvanubhayarakhito yatparardhadvayante twadbhitas satyalokeopi lokepi na sukha vasati padmabhuv padmanabha evam bhavepya dharmarjita bahutamasam kakatha narakanam tanme tvam chindi bandham varada kripana bandho kripa pura sindho. The last line is all addressing the Lord. Varada, the giver of boons. Kripana, a compassionate bandho. Kripana bandho. That is the friend of the oppressed. Kripa pura sindho. You are full of compassion, grace. It is an ocean of compassion. So it is an address. Tvallokadanyaloka kvanubhayarakhito yatparardhadvayante. Your Vaikuntha Loka, is there any other Loka, is there any other world which is fearless, which gives me fearlessness? Nothing. Even Brahma Loka, there is Brahma supposed to be sitting for a long time, living, but Parardha Dvayante. Parardha means his half-life. Brahma's half-life, 50 years. He is now 51. supposed to be. So then he is another 50 years. This is called parardha. One parardha, another parardha. Parardha dvaya. Parardha dvaya ante. When he finishes the parardha dvaya ante, he also has to go back. You see, so Brahma also has an end to his life. So he is afraid. Tadbhitaha satyalokepi na sukha vasati. He is not happy there. Na sukha vasati. Padmabhu Padmanabha. Hey Padmanabha, Padmabhu, the one who was born in your Padma, that Brahma, he himself is not happy there. So, whom we are on, evam, when that is so, evam bhavepi adharmarjita bahutamasam. You see, we people, I am talking of Brahma like that, we ordinary poor people steeped in sin, bahutamasam, dharmarjita bahutamasam, kakatha narakanam. We poor people, what to speak of us? Therefore, Tansi, me tvam chindi bandham, my bondage, please remove, please cut asunder, chindi, cut asunder, my bondage. This is a beautiful prayer, because you see, we forget. You see, jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma vratasya cha. Everybody has to die, anybody knows, but we don't remember it. Particularly at crucial moments, we forget it. That jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. Nandan chodita aditye, nandan tastamite rao, manushya jivanakshayam, atmanon avabudhyante, manushya jivitakshayam. Rama advises Bharata in Ayodhya Kanda. When Bharata comes and there is a great discussion, here Rama uses this shloka. Nandatya, you, every day you, when the sun rises, you say, ah, what a beautiful sunrise. And when the sun sets, you say, what a beautiful sunset. And then you go to Kanyakumari to see both sunrise and sunset on the same day, and so on. So it's a Nandatyudija Aditya. But every time the sun rises and the sun sets, one day of yours, life is gone. This you don't remember. We forget it. We keep on appreciating nature and everything, but we forget that the sun's movement is a mark, as the time flows, manushya jivitakshayam. Ultimately, this only measures your remaining life. So that is why here it says, even Brahma in his world, he is not happy. So, tvanme chindi bandham. And in the next selection of my selection, number 11, shloka number 11, here we start the difference, the distinction, the subtle distinction between the impersonal and the personal. Avyaktam te swarupam, shloka number 11. Avyaktam te swarupam duradhigamatamam tattu shuddhaika sattvam vyaktam chapyeta deva sputam amritarasam bodhikallola tulyam sarvotkrishtam abhishtam tadiha gunarasenaiva chittam harantim murtim te samstrayeham pavanapurapate pahimam krishna rogat. See, Advaita people, there are small differences between the outlook of Advaitins themselves. There is what is called Kevala Advaitins. There are what is called Bhava, Bheda Bheda Advaitins. That is, you go to the ocean, you see the waves. The waves, are they different from the ocean? They are not. Or they are. The two opinions now. The wave is different from the ocean or not. The wave is nothing but the ocean. The wave is water. The wave, the next moment wave disappears and it is water. It is the ocean. But it appears as a wave. Then when it appears like that, it has a name, it has a form. Wave. Then again it becomes the ocean. Now, so, shall we say that wave and ocean are the same? This is one set of Advaitins, Kevala Advaitins. There is no wave, there is only ocean. This is the Kevala Advaitin. It appears as a wave. Wave is the ocean, but it appears as the wave. There is that phenomenal difference is there. This is the Bheda Advaitin. This Bhattaji wavers between these two things in his slokas. So here he says, Avyaktam te swarupam duradhigamatamam tattu shuddhaika sattvam te swarupam. Now he is addressing the Lord Guruvayoor. Te Swarup, now you don't have to show it now, we will show it next in the 12th, 13th sloka. Avyaktam, you are unmanifest. Your Swarupa is unmanifest. Duradhigamatamam, it is very difficult to get. Duradhigamatamam, it is very difficult to see your Rupa. It is because it is pure Sattva. Shuddha Eka Sattvam. Pure Sattva. Pure Sattva is your Rupa. Right? The Kevala Advaitins will not say that the form is pure Sattva. Because the moment there is a form, there is a Rajas, Tamas mixture in it. So there should not be any Sattva, any Rajas, you have to transcend the three gunas to see the impersonal. This is the Kevala Advaitin. You see, but Bhattaji thinks of the pure Sattva as that form, you see, and he thinks of that as an impersonal who has taken this form. He does not make a difference between the form and the impersonal one. He does not make it. So here he says, your form, you are unmanifest. Avyaktam te swarupam. Your swarupa is unmanifest. Vyaktam chapyeta devas putam amritarasam bodhi kallola tulyam. Ambodhi rasa ambodhi kallola tulyam. Amrita rasa. Amrita rasa means that nectar of that bliss, that amrita rasa. Ambodhi, that ocean. Kallola is the wave. So like the wave, vyaktam chapi. Just as the ocean appears as the wave, the impersonal Lord, who is always unmanifest, appears as this Guruvayoor before me, Vyaktam. So that Avyakta Swarupa is manifest before me, Vyaktam Chapi, Sarvot Krishtam Abhishtam. It is beautiful, Sarvot Krishtam, super in the Chennai language. It is super, Sarvot Krishtam. That is the, Sarvot Krishna is the exact Sanskrit of the word super. Sarvot Krishna, Abhishta is very pleasing. Tadiha Gunarasena iva chittam harantim. Gunarasena, by its qualities, by its attributes. Remember, impersonal has no attributes, but here he is mixing the impersonal and the personal, because the ocean and the wave, you at one point you think of it as the ocean, at one point you think of it the wave itself as the ocean, at another point in the same sentence you think of wave as different from the ocean. It's beautiful. This kind of subtle understanding you will not get even from a philosophy discussion. The Bhattaji has put into this, with all his poetry, with all his scintillating poetry, he has built all this philosophy into his poetry. Sarvot Krishtam Abhishtam Tadiha Gunarasena Eva Chittam Harantim. It simply carries, it captures my mind. Chittam Harantim, Murtim, this Murti. So Murtim te samshrayekam. I propitiate this Murti. Pahimam Krishna Rogat. Krishna Pahimam Rogat. This is the 10th sloka of the 99th Dashaka. Every 10th sloka he says, Pahimam Rogat. My Roga, please cure. And that is how it's cured. And remember, this Duradhigamatamam, Avyaktam te Swarupam Duradhigamatamam. It is very difficult to think of this impersonal Rupa, impersonal form of you. That is what the Lord also says in the 12th chapter. Klesho dikataras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta kigatir dukkam dehavat bhiravapyate. Klesho dikataraha. It's very difficult. The avyakta sakta chetasam, those who are immersed in the avyakta rupa, to be immersed in that, it's very difficult. You see, that is why we have to look at the form and through that go to that impersonal form. So that is sloka number 11. Next to that, our selection goes to slokas number 12 and 13, which actually describes that form, the Guruvayoor form. We will take that up in the next session. Lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu.